Hey everybody, Coach Cliff, and welcome to the next nutrition video for runners, triathletes, endurance athletes. I was going to talk about meats and dinner because that was the next in line. We did breakfast and snacks and lunch, and I wanted to hit dinner next, and I've put it off only because there's a guy out of Missouri who owns a company called US Wellness Meats, and it is a organic, grass-fed, healthy, super healthy meat. He's got a ton of stuff on there. Not only does he have a great website and great products, but he also has a tremendous knowledge of meats and why we want to eat healthier meat. So I'm going to wait on that until I get a hold of him and hopefully get him on here, at least do a podcast or an audio interview so you can learn more about that. So today I'm going to do drinks and what we drink, which is so crucially important. But before I get to that, a couple things I wanted to talk about that I think I talked about a little bit, but I want to touch on real quickly. It was something I was thinking about this morning during my run is overtraining. You know, when you eat properly, you reduce your risk or your chance of overtraining because you increase your recovery tremendously. So eating right allows you to do a hard workout and then go back the next day or 2 days later or whatever it is and train hard again. So super important with nutrition to understand that. Overtraining, I think in the last 5 or 6, maybe 10 years in the media, they made this super big deal about overtraining. You know, when I was in college, we never thought about overtraining. I don't know that we necessarily were that much. I think it is completely blown out of proportion. The only thing about overtraining that I do worry about is not overtraining necessarily, but is progressing too quickly. Because when we progress too quickly, we get injured, and that's typically what we see. So overtraining, don't worry about that. But when you're looking at foods, recoveries that you can go and do the next workout, even if it's an easy run or whatever it is, whether it's a hard run or easy run, you're ready for that. So that's what's really important. Overtraining is really, I'll say it's a myth because it's not. It's a really a big deal. Overtraining isn't, we just don't see it that often. What we do see is somebody who's not necessarily overtrained, but they're overtrained in life, or they're stressed, and they're seeing a lot of stress and anxiety and worries and fears, and you're always going to be overtrained if you're talking about the hormones in your bodies. But as far as specifically running often and hard, you'll know when you're overtrained because you just can't go. You're just not hitting those times, and that's the first indicator of overtraining. You're just not hitting what you were before. And is that because you're training too hard too much, or is it because you're not eating correctly, or there's a hormonal imbalance? And it could be all of the above in that. So I want to touch on that real quickly. Okay, let's get to the drinks and talk about drinks. I think the number one big question drink that everyone asks about is diet soda. Many years ago, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, I had this hypothesis that diet sodas were making us fat. Now, there is no conclusive research or evidence at this point that really says that that is true, but there is a lot of research that suggests that it may be true. So here's why that might be the case, that diet sodas can actually make you gain weight even though they have 0 calories in them. Remember, we don't think about calories as much as we thought we should. Calories do count, but at the opposite end, there's a lot of other things in food that make a calorie not just a calorie compared to other calories. They're not all the same. Diet sodas have a lot of chemicals in them and artificial sweeteners. So when you drink a diet soda, your body reacts accordingly, just like it was drinking a sweetened drink or like it was eating sugar. So when you drink a diet soda, your body's hormonal cascade will go into effect saying that I have something sweet, so now I'm going to turn my body into a fat storage machine. I'm getting a lot of sugar. My muscles don't need it because I didn't work out. Oh gosh, there isn't even actually any sugar. So where do we put this stuff? Well, there really isn't anything. But your hormones are such that you're going to go into fat storage mode. Here's the other aspect of it. Is it in fact true that it's not just that hormonal cascade, because they haven't proven that that is necessarily true? Is it in fact that it's the chemicals that are in there that we don't even really know what they're doing in our body, but they are disrupting our hormonal and neural environment in our body? So neural meaning the neurotransmitters in your neurons, that it's disrupting that such that your body is not acting accordingly. You know, we know with the artificial sweeteners, Splenda, for example, is made out of chlorine. Too much chlorine in your body can kill you. A little bit of it, maybe a tiny bit of it, isn't real bad, but there's a lot of research in chlorine and the chlorine that we drink in our tap water, city water, and chlorine even if you're swimming in a pool a lot. Now that's kind of reaching out there, but at the same time when we're looking at Splenda and there's chlorine in it, and there's research that shows that even getting it through our skin in the swimming pools might be bad. So certainly a lot of those artificial sweeteners I would certainly stay away from. I am as guilty as anybody of drinking diet soda. I love it. I could drink a ton of those a day. I could drink 8 to 10 cans of Diet Dr. Pepper. But instead, because I do want that really badly, I will show you a fix for diet soda that will completely, I think, cure you of it. Number one, go get a soda stream or something like that. So this is just one of those machines that puts carbon dioxide bubbles into my drink, and here's the bottles that come with it. And the reason that I got this is because I didn't want to spend so much money on diet sodas, and then when I started becoming more careful several years ago, what I would do is carbonate this water and then add some lemon juice to it. And that totally fixes it. And I would say to me now it's just as good as diet soda. And so I drink probably 2 or 3 of these a day. Carbonated with lemon juice in it, I'm good to go. So that's what I drink pretty much all the time when I drink water. All right, coffee. Coffee is absolutely fantastic for you. Coffee is the world's #1 resource for antioxidants. So we get more antioxidants from coffee than anything else. That doesn't mean that it has more than anything else, but it is the world's #1 choice for getting antioxidants. It's drank in every country in the world. It is one of the most popular drinks that exists, and coffee is very good for you. Now there's research that shows that coffee has some molds and some toxins if you're buying the cheaper stuff and you're supposed to look for better coffee. You know, I'll buy an inexpensive coffee, make it at home. So coffee is good for you. It's what you put in the coffee. So when we look at drinks, and here's the best drinks and here's the worst drinks, coffee's up here and Starbucks is down here. So really be careful what you're putting in your coffee. I drink coffee black, or typically in the morning, which is the only time I drink coffee, is I will add coconut oil to it. So coconut milk or coconut oil to get some good healthy fats in there. So I notice when I drink coffee first thing in the morning and I'm not going to eat for an hour, or I'll drink coffee and go for a run and I add coconut oil in it, it's a lot more, my insulin levels or my blood sugar levels are a lot more stable when I add this into it. And I wouldn't say that it was really an acquired taste, because coconut and coffee is great. It's more of that film, that kind of that soft fat film that you taste. The first time you drink it, it's a little bit unique. But once you get used to it, I really don't go with that anymore. Either this or coconut milk, I'll always add to my coffee. So be careful what you're adding to coffee. Coffee is fantastic. The other drinks throughout the day that if you want something hot or cold is tea. Green tea is great. So in the summertime, and that's typically when I think of drinking iced tea, I don't usually during the wintertime drink iced tea. I'll put 10 or 12 of these into a boiling pot of water and then let it simmer and then put it into a big jug and make my own iced tea. So I'll either do that, or in the evenings when I'm trying to just come down a little bit, I'll drink some decaffeinated green tea. So tea is very, very good for you. We know the positive impact of green tea. There are a lot of supplements out there that have green tea extract and green tea in it. That's not going to help you lose weight. If it does, it's such a tiny, small amount. Look at green tea and the positive effects of green tea as a health benefit rather than a fat loss thing. So we do know that caffeine in coffee and tea helps you as a runner or an endurance athlete use more fat for fuel. So before you run, if you don't drink coffee before you run, you should, I believe, start trying it, because it will help your body use more fat for fuel for that marathon or half marathon or 10-mile run, and spare carbohydrates for later on in the race. So it uses more fat for fuel. That doesn't mean that you're going to utilize that fat and lose a lot more fat. You're not going to. It's a small amount. But that small amount that can help you from stopping bonking at the end of a run can make a big difference. So coffee, caffeine from green tea. There's plenty in green tea, but there's more in coffee. Drink coffee or green tea before your runs. Even throughout the day is great. One thing that I would mention is that caffeine has this big stair step or wave effect throughout the day, so that if you drink your coffee in the morning, and then you drink a little bit more at noon, you drink a little bit at 4, it just piggybacks on top of each other. And even if you stop drinking at 4, but you've been drinking it throughout the day, you have a very hard time getting to sleep. So be really careful of that, because I think one of the most underrated things that we have at our disposal for recovery and exercise is sleep. And I think it's this, and when people tell me that they only go on 4 or 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night and they're proud of it, I was looking at them and say, that is not something to be proud of. Not because that, because we should like to sleep, but because it is so important for so many aspects of our lives and our body. But when we're talking about runners and athletes, that's when you do most of your recovery, is when you eat because of the foods, and then when you sleep. So sleep, super important. Be careful of the caffeine later on in the day. All right, let's talk about alcohol real quickly. I don't have anything to hold up because I don't have any alcohol in the house. I do once in a great while, but it's pretty rare that I do. And the reason is because, number one, I don't want to spend the money on it. Number two, I usually am doing things during the day, and especially in the evenings, that I want to think. I don't want a foggy brain, so I just don't want that feeling. And thirdly, I don't want the calories. So alcohol, calories, there's a lot of them in there. Your body does not use it for anything other than making you feel really funny and cool, which is fine, helps you come down at night. So I will say this, cut alcohol if you're trying to lose weight. Now, having said that, there's a lot of positive benefits to red wine, all the polyphenols that are in there. There's a lot of very good things in there. So red wine is fine. A glass in the evening does not hurt you whatsoever, but understand that you're getting calories that your body really doesn't utilize for any other reason other than some of the really good antioxidants that are in there. The hard alcohols, more calories in those, so be very careful of those. If you do it just once in a great while. Beer is fine for you, but again, we're getting 110 calories generally per can. So you're getting a lot of calories, and if you drink 2-3 beers, you're getting 200-300 calories. You look at that over a course of a year, there's a lot of weight gain potential that could happen there. So Nothing wrong with it. Occasionally, a little bit. Again, with this type of thing, it's moderation. So don't not drink, but if you're trying to lose weight, maybe you want to cut it for a period of time, because it does, look, when I train people and they'll say that they have 2-3 drinks in the evening or whatever, and they cut that, that is one of the things that will help them lose weight very, very quickly. So look at alcohol, try to cut that out. Do it occasionally, do it once in a while, but be careful and back off a little bit on that. All right, let's go back to water. I talked about the soda stream and how I put lemon juice and carbonated water. Your water source, I am really against, and this is just my own personal thing, water bottles. There's just so many of them, and I'm not an environmentalist kind of guy at all, but you look at these plastic bottles, I don't want to buy it, I don't want to pay for it, I don't want to carry it into my place, and then I don't want to have to dispose of all of them. And I think the tap water is just fine, but it's not. So every city is a little bit different in what they put in the water. The chlorine and the fluoride especially are the two things in there that are not good at all. But fluoride, the reason that they put that in the water is for our teeth and enamel and good healthy teeth. So that was a really big positive benefit when they put that back in the water source. I think it was in the 60s maybe. So when they started doing that, we saw better teeth in America. And so that's a good thing. But too much fluoride is really a bad thing. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to drink bottled water, fine. That's up to you whether you want to do that. Or if you want to drink tap water, I have a reverse osmosis system under my sink that filters out a lot of that chlorine and a lot of the fluoride and filters all those things out. Make sure it's a good one. It has a good charcoal filter in it. Change it out at least once, twice a year per specifications, and use reverse osmosis water. So bottled water, that's up to you. Or you can use reverse osmosis water, which is a lot healthier and a lot better for you than drinking the city water, more than likely. Now, research will show, every city will have their data showing that these are in safe limits. Throughout many, many years, we've seen that these are in safe limits, and all of a sudden we find out that it caused this, it caused cancer and birth abnormalities. So I think that there's a lot of problems in the water that we drink. I try to stay away from it. I will drink it if I'm somewhere. There isn't reverse osmosis, I'll drink it, it's fine. But know that water is not always created equal. I do have, right below, there's a video that I have that's linked to a whole house filtration system that you can put in that's better than reverse osmosis. It's expensive, it takes a bit to put it in. I think maybe it's worth it, but in there's a great video on that webpage, on that homepage about water it's really, really interesting if you watch that video. So I have a link to that below, and you can check that out. That video is really cool. All right, let's talk about some of the other drinks that are really, really popular. Sport drinks, stay away from those at all costs, anytime. If you're going to use a sport drink during a race, that's the only time that you should do it. But here's what I see all the time, and it really bugs me, is that when people will work out and they're doing a half-hour, 45-minute, hour-long workout, and they're drinking sport drinks, yes, having some fuel during your workout certainly can help your workout during that time. But when it's abused, or they're drinking tons and tons of sugar and whatever, Gatorade or whatever source they're drinking, they're just stopping any kind of weight loss or body composition changes that they wanted to make. If someone doesn't care about making a body composition change, I do then worry about getting all that sugar in that I've talked about, whether it leads to cancer or it leads to other heart problems long time down the road. You don't need that during your workout. If you're going to run a marathon, a half marathon, we've talked about fueling during the races. There's a strategy for that. Sugar does play a role if the workout is long enough or the race is long enough. So sport drinks, I stay away from those at all costs. I have a big problem with children drinking those. So many parents that I meet with think that sport drinks are absolutely okay because it says sports on it. My kid is exercising, so we give them sports drinks. For a kid, milk, water, and the milk is your choice. We talked about cutting the milk out, but milk, water, drinking those kind of things, and staying away from fruit juices. There's a lot of the schools these days are doing a good job of getting the sodas, even diet sodas, out of the schools. The crazy thing is that Coca-Cola and Pepsi and those companies are not they're not getting angry about that at all, because these schools are allowed to put fruit juices in the vending machines, and Coca-Cola and Pepsi own so many of these fruit juice companies, so they're just putting another product in their vending machines, and it's not healthier. Now, there are vitamins and nutrients that are in the fruit juices that are really good for you, but eat your fruit, because it takes, for a glass of orange juice, or a bottle, big, good-sized bottle of orange juice, it takes 8 oranges to do that. There's a ton of sugar in there. So when we talk about the negative effects of sugar, it doesn't matter whether it's fruit juice or it's honey or it's any other kind of that if it has sugar in it, any type, it's going to react the same in your body to shoot up that insulin level, put you into fat storage mode, and utilizing that sugar, and over the long term we see some real problems. So stay away from fruit juices at all costs. Here's where I think there is a benefit, is to juice your own juices, because you're getting a really whole, healthy source of it. And when you do that, I would highly recommend that you also add vegetables and other things in there because you're going to get a lot better juice. So if you take oranges, put it through a juicer, and drink an 8-ounce glass of juice, you're going to get a ton of sugar in there. I would say that's just as bad. If you're going to use your own juicer and put an orange or two in there, and then add an apple, and then add some other vegetables, beets, and things like that, that's a much better way to get fruit or vegetable juices than it is just to buy the juices. Even if it's all natural, no sugar added, that's great, but you're still getting a ton of sugar that you don't want in your body. So be really careful of fruit juices. I highly recommend that children don't drink those. That should not be a habitual thing. Once in a while, it's fine. And you know, a lot of people have said to me before, especially senior citizens, because this is what they had done for so many years, is that they drink their glass of orange juice and take their vitamins in the morning. And I've probably heard that 20 times before. The thing is, if you drink a little bit and you drink that along with your meal, whether it's probably breakfast, and that has more proteins and fats in it, that will kind of slow down that sugar concentration a little bit. So when someone older says, I always drink my orange juice like this and I take my vitamins with it, that's probably not a problem. But if you want a rule of thumb, the best thing that I would say is stay away from fruit juices completely, because if you want the benefits from fruit, eat the fruit rather than drinking it down. All right, let's talk about the milks. Lactose intolerance people, I recommend that people don't drink milk, or at least I've said to you before in these videos, is to cut milk and dairy products for a period of time and see how much better you feel. If you want to replace it with something, almond milk is really good, and this brand, So Delicious, is better than the Silk brand. The Silk brand is genetically modified from genetically modified sources, so I like this brand, So Delicious, which is a much better brand than anything else. Amongst these milks, we have soy milk, we have almond milk, there's coconut milk, and there's other kinds of milks too, but those are the three most popular: almond, soy, and coconut. Almond first, it's fine for you, it's very good, you don't need to stop using it, but understand that those nuts have a lot more omega-6s in it, so if you're going through a lot of that, your omega-3 to omega-6 balance can be off. So be careful of doing too much almond milk. Not that it's bad, but too much of it could be a problem. Soy milk, stay away from that at all costs, forever, don't ever touch that again. I'll go into that at some other time, but it's a phytoestrogen. It increases your estrogen levels, so for men, that's not a good thing. You don't want too much estrogen in your body. And for women, when we're looking at that our environment, our world is putting our hormones out of whack, and you're getting in more estrogens in your body, you have to be really careful of that. So don't drink soy milk. Stay away from that, and coconut milk, I think, is the best source of milk if you want to add something to it. So this brand is great, So Delicious, instead of the Silk brand. That's the one that I like and recommend. A couple of the things I want to mention, coconut water is really healthy. Just like the coconut milk, it has a lot of positive benefits in there. So after my workouts, I always get a glass of coconut water, which by itself, I'm not really that used to it. It's fine. But if you add this Calm Magnesium, which, like I said, we're going to do a supplement video coming up soon. So this Calm Magnesium, which you need to replace magnesium in your body after workouts, you put this in coconut water, and then I add trace minerals, which is really important. This just doesn't have 1 or 2 or 3. This is magnesium, which we need more of. This has all the other minerals in it. So I add these two together in coconut water. That is a great post-workout recovery drink, one of the best that you can get. So that's what I recommend. Coconut water is really good. If you can get used to the taste and drink it straight, that's fine. So here's the rules of thumb, and I think I've covered all the different drinks. Water is great, iced tea is great, green tea is great, coffee is great. Stick with those. Those are your best rules of thumb. Everything else, kind of keep that into moderation or cut them completely. Alcohol, it's up to you. I would say cut that for a period of time if you're trying to lose weight. If weight is not an issue to you, then have a drink or 2 a day. Red wine is fantastic. But almost all the other drinks, the vitamin waters and the sports drinks and all those, even if they're 0 calories, there are negative effects to them because there are chemicals in them, the artificial sweeteners that are in them. Look, those are all the things you just stay away from, and you're going to notice that not only is your performance getting better, but you're able to lose weight. Maybe for the first time in a while, you've been struggling with it. Those things can make a tremendous difference. And again, if you're addicted to diet sodas like I was and still kind of am a little bit, the SodaStream with lemon in it really works. All right, all the links are down below. I hope that this helped cover some of the things with drinking, because it is really so important. Remember, water is everything that happens in your body, positive or negative, but everything that happens in your body happens in the presence of H2O, those H2O molecules. So if you're not getting enough water and you're dehydrated, your body, whatever you want from it, to get bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, whatever your body is trying to do, which is a lot of stuff throughout the day, your body has to do that in presence of water. When we get dehydrated, it starts slowing down those processes. So drink plenty of water throughout the day and get the other drinks in as you can. I don't miss any of the other drinks that I don't get anymore because of trying to stay with those handful of drinks. So hope that helped. Have a great day.